What is going on, YouTube people? Cards and Comics here. Today to have a little discussion about breaking. Now, as we all know, eBay has recently decided to crack down, I guess, whatever term you want to use for it, limit who can break, the amount of people breaking on the platform. And that got me to thinking, why would they go down this path in the first place? Why? It's a lot. It has to be an absolute ton of listings for it. I think someone looked and they said there was like 50,000 listings. Don't quote me on that number. But when that news broke, there were 50,000 active listings for breaks listed on eBay. That is a lot of 13% eBay fees to give up, or whatever it is. That's a lot. They're leaving a lot of money on the table by doing this, because from what I have found out, at least after the fact, seems to be not a ton of people got into this. I could be wrong, but it seems like I am seeing many more people post I didn't make the cut compared to the ones that are saying that they did, or that they are continuing on. Now, maybe they're still under NDAs or whatnot, and we'll see what happens when we get closer to that. I believe it's July 18th is the magic number date. But it got me thinking, and this is, I'm not the first person to talk about this. I think SCR talked about it in their video. It has to be they are worried about regulation. Because let's be honest, the biggest, dirtiest secret that's not a secret at all, that everyone, if you know, you know, and a lot of people know, breaking is gambling. It is 1000% gambling. It's not even close. And it's completely unregulated. There are no rules and regulations, nothing for it. A 12-year-old kid, if he had a credit card and the money, could buy into a $5,000 spot of Flawless if he really wanted to. I mean, there's nothing stopping anyone from joining a break. No restrictions, no nothing. Eventually, that is going to end. There is no way that this just keeps operating at the status quo forever. There's zero chance. I don't know when it'll happen, but at some point in time, legit regulation will come to breaking, and it'll probably be classified as gambling. So, what if the kind of the point of this video is I am wondering, why now from eBay? Why would they do this now? Either, like SCR said, and a bunch of other people have said, and I agree, that they have a lot of really good corporate lawyers, and they're probably pretty smart people, and they probably looked at all this and were like, guys, what are we doing? We are leaving ourselves wide open for litigation on this, or problems down the line. That very well could be the case. I am also wondering if, because eBay is a big, powerful company that probably has a lot of political connections. I'm wondering if they know something is coming, or this is on someone's radar, that this is going to get looked at, maybe not next week, but sometime in the near future, 6 months, 12 months, whatever. Let's get ahead of this and lock this down now. And maybe that's not the case. I have no inside sources on this, nothing. This is just me reading the room and speculating. I think it's one of those two things. Either lawyers were like, guys, we can't be leaving ourselves open like this, or someone else was like, hey, this is coming, get ahead of it now. Or maybe it's a little bit of both. Hey, something's coming, we're not sure what it's going to look like. Let's try to lock this thing down now. What policies and procedures can we make up and adapt to allow this to slide through whatever ends up coming out of whatever regulations end up getting created? Because here's the thing. Let's say the government came out tomorrow and was like, breaking is gambling. That's it. You have to have a gambling license or you're toast. Guess who has a gambling license? Fanatics. Fanatics already has a gaming license. Now, I don't know what specific states they're in and not in, and then maybe that becomes a whole thing where if it followed suit, you would assume that you could only break in the states or only sell to people that were in the states that gambling is legal in. So if gambling's not legal in your state, you might not be able to buy into breaks anymore. The other thing is, once we're going in a real speculative territory here, but if something like this does happen, who's to say you could live in whatever state you want and operate and run a break? Because if they're treating it as gambling, you can't just be set up at your kitchen table in certain states and run gambling that way. I'm willing to bet some state somewhere is going to be like, and we all know what regulation means: taxes, fees, licenses. Who knows what else will be involved with it? But in a limited basis, Fanatics will be ready for that already. They have a gaming license. Hey, you break on Fanatics Live, you're covered under our gaming license if you're approved to break on our platform. And maybe eBay's looking at the same thing with their eBay Live. Guess who else recently started doing breaks? Why would this company start getting into the breaking space that has never had anything to do with sports cards until just a couple months ago? I did a video about this. DraftKings started breaking. They have continued to run breaks since then. Why would DraftKings suddenly hop into the breaking space? Just out of the blue. Experiment with it. Let's see what can happen. Maybe it's a legitimate, hey, let's see what this breaking thing's all about. Maybe we could build this business out. Or, and if anyone would know, it would be DraftKings. They are heavy players in the gambling world, on the political side, on the lobbying side. They have all the inside connections that they would need to get information like this. What if they knew that breaking was going to be classified as gambling? And now all of a sudden they look around the room and see the demand for breaks. And here they are, already set up, already in a bunch of states to be able to operate, own and operate, legalize gambling. And now, hey, there's all this demand for breaking, and you have to have a gambling license to do it. Guess what we got? We got the gambling license. Let's go ahead and get our feet wet on this breaking thing, because if regulation comes, there's going to be a very, very, very short list of companies that are going to be able to offer it. Once again, pure speculation. We don't know how this would work. You know, if you're approved to break on Fanatics Live, are you covered under their gaming license? Do you have to be an employee? Is there some weird contractor thing? Whatever. We don't know. We don't know how that's going to work, or maybe it'll never work. Am I crazy? Do you honestly believe, whether you're into breaking or not, it doesn't matter. If you've never brought into a break in your life, I've never bought into a break in my entire life. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that it's 1,000% gambling. Do you agree with me? Do you think at some point in time in the next, in the next 5 years, probably less actually, but let's just call it 5 years. In the next 5 years, will we have some sort of governmental regulation over breaking? Whether it's classified as full-time, full-on gambling or some weird in-between thing or whatever the case might be, do we have some sort of regulation on breaking within the next 5 years? As it becomes more and more mainstream and some politician somewhere gets wind of, that's something else we can make money off of. We could sell a license for that. We can tax that differently. We could do X, Y, or Z thing. We could fine people if they don't, or companies, if they don't do things correctly. We can issue more gaming licenses. Whatever the case might be, someone in the government is going to see dollar signs. especially once Fanatics Live launches, and if it goes mainstream the way we think it's going to, with their marketing blitz behind it. It's not like Backyard Breaks is on ESPN advertising on Sunday Night Baseball or during the NBA Finals or Monday Night Football. Guess what's going to happen when Fanatics Live is up and running? Will you see an ad for Prism Football Hobby? Well, it wouldn't be Prism, I guess. Topps Chrome Football Hobby boxes on Monday Night Football for, hey, hop on to Fanatics Live right now during halftime. Buy into a break of the two teams playing tonight. Yada, 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 yada. Fanatics don't care if it gets classified as gambling. They have a gambling license already. They don't care. What happens to Whatnot? What happens to eBay? What happens to the other live streaming platforms? What happens to people doing breaks in Facebook groups? I just don't know how at some point in time regulation doesn't come. And like I said, either eBay knows something's coming or they're assuming something is going to be coming, or as simple as a lawyer or a team of lawyers somewhere looked around the room and said, what the hell are we doing? We are exposed here. Our asses are in the wind here. We have got to shut this down, or at least control it a lot better. You know, let's completely shut it down, but we need to rein this in. And I think that's what happened, because their eBay has to be leaving a decent chunk of money on the table. And that is not eBay's way. That is not typically what they like to do. So, as always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. We'll catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.